Perfect. Hi, everybody. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ebenezer, but you can call me Eb, and I'm one of the Trust's senior KPO specialists. And I'm going to be talking to you today a little bit about how we've used some adult learning theories to make some structural changes to how staff learn about improvement in our organisation. So just a quick introduction. So like I said, I'm a senior KPO specialist, and KPO stands for Kaizen Promotion. And I am part of the Kaizen Promotion team, or KPO team, and we are dedicated to teaching, coaching and supporting staff in service improvement and change management within their teams and within their services. We teach multiple courses in the organisation, and we always try to strive to improve the way of which we teach staff. I and another one of my colleagues was actually given a great opportunity by the Trust to complete a postgraduate certification in higher education, which I'm currently doing now throughout our apprenticeship program with our Trust in Middlesex University. This opportunity has been amazing, and it's meant that I've been able to learn much more about adult learning theories and the best ways to support learning within our courses. So we have applied some of this learning to improve different courses to ensure that they are as value adding to our Trust as we can make them. And today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Pride Day for Leaders and the improvements we have made to the course using some of those adult learning theories. So just to introduce the program very quickly, the Pride Away for Leaders is a course that provides the practitioners with the knowledge, skills and behaviours to implement a QI initiative and a robust management system within their areas using appropriate QI methodologies and effective leadership strategies. The course also explores qualitative and quantitative data and how quality improvement methodology and effective leadership impacts the implementation and sustainability of QI initiatives and service transformation. On the course, there are a range of different professional groups. So we have nurses, AHPs, doctors, people who work in corporate and science technicians as well. And the course is aimed at those who are leaders in an area. And this could be leading a shift, leading a team, leading a department, leading a division. And it's not only for those who are line managers, and it can also be for those who are aspiring to be leaders as well. The previous course structure consisted of 6 modules. Each module is a full day of teaching, lasting approximately 7 hours. There was a break of about 6 weeks between each module, and the first 4 modules would focus on the quality improvement method. The last 2 modules would focus on management and leadership practices. Currently, there are multiple assessments for each module, and staff would complete their assessments in the 6 weeks between each of the modules. In total, there were about 26 assessments for the duration of a 9-month course, and every assessment involves the practical application of the concepts taught in the modules. Feedback from staff was often that there were just too many assessments, and it could be very, very overwhelming in terms of the assessment as well as the course itself. And as someone who's completed the course myself, I can kind of agree with that kind of feedback as well. And after each module, the team mark the assessments and then provide a mark for the module between requires improvement and excellent. Now, this feedback was given between 4 to 6 weeks after the staff had handed in their assessments. And really, by this point, it was too much time had passed, and most staff had then moved on to the next assessment or the next module. So they didn't necessarily find the feedbacks very relevant at that time. So now I've given you a bit of a brief overview of the old course structure. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about adult learning theory around motivation and how we've used some parts of this theory to kind of help us make the course and make all of our courses a little bit better. So a really nice quote is from Ryan and Deci, and who are two psychologists, and they said to be motivated means to be moved to do something. This definition means that if a person feels inspired or driven to act, then they can be characterized as motivated. And a major goal for myself and the team when we were doing the redesigning of our courses was to motivate staff in wanting to make improvements in their areas. And though there have been many theories over the years of motivation within education, I specifically focused on self-determination theory and how this can be applied to the course to promote motivation and all the benefits of being motivated. Now, in self-determination theory, there are 2 types of motivation. The first type is intrinsic motivation, and this is when you want to do something for the pure interest and enjoyment and curiosity. And then there is extrinsic motivation, which is when you want to do something but are influenced by external factors like money or peer pressure, or because you've been told that you have to do something. And though I love learning about and applying continuous improvement concepts, I must admit that not all people are on the course and do the course because of the pure enjoyment. So many people do the course because they want to learn how to improve their KPIs or their performance. Many people do the course because they were told to by their line manager. Many people do the course because they want to develop themselves for a future promotion. And there are many other reasons that are extrinsically motivated. This is not a problem, as extrinsic motivation has a spectrum from something called external regulation to something called integrated regulation. So in the simplest forms, external regulation is the closest to being fully unmotivated. And this is when you complete a task for money, a treat, or to avoid being punished. So this is like when you were a kid and you did something because you wanted a gold star. You didn't necessarily internalize the value of the task. You were just doing it because you wanted a reward at the end. And then you have something like integrated regulation, and this is the closest to being fully intrinsically motivated. And this is like completing a task due to an external pressure, but you have fully assimilated the value of that task into yourself. So if you think about our clinicians, they might come to work because they are paid to come to work, but they've fully integrated the value of caring for our patients into themselves. So even though it's partly extrinsically motivated, they've internalized that value. And this becomes really, really, really important because there are so many studies out there and also so much experience out there that shows there's real tangible benefits to learners and to the organization when people are intrinsically motivated or when people have internalized and integrated the value of tasks. And these benefits are things like high quality of learning, increase in performance and outcomes, increase in psychological well-being, and a reduction in attrition rates for the courses. Specifically for myself and the KPO team, for the quality of learning, we teach a multitude of concepts throughout the improvement course, but not all the concepts are relevant to all problems. So this means that an increase in quality of learning will lead to better retention of the information being taught for when they will be relevant to the staff members. The outcomes for the course as well is really, really important because the Pride Way for Leaders focuses on teaching trust staff how to improve their processes and therefore their services. Thus, increased effectiveness of the course will lead to increased improvements to patient care within the hospital. And lastly, with the well-being, again, the people we teach in the course are NHS workers who already work in really stressful environments in the hospital. And the hospital is really heavily focusing on staff well-being, which is extremely important, especially during the COVID-19 crisis. And doing some of these changes will help boost motivation, and that could be a really good way to also help with staff well-being within the organisation. So when it comes to kind of achieving the benefits of motivation, there are three things that can affect it. And those three things are relatedness, autonomy, and competency. So relatedness can be enhanced by an inclusive environment that promotes respect and caring for peers, and it can be undermined by unhealthy competition, non-constructive feedback, and feelings of isolation from a group. You have autonomy, and that can be enhanced by learners being able to make meaningful choices that are informed and acknowledged by the educator, and it can be undermined by imposed goals or tangible rewards, punishments, so on, so on, anything that's seen as controlling. And then you have competency, which is enhanced by learners engaging in optimal challenges whilst receiving positive feedback, and undermined by excessive challenges and negative performance feedback. So me and the team decided to use this theory and drastically change the structures of all of our training courses. So how do we do this? So currently staff complete practical application of each tool or concept taught on the Pride Way for Leaders after each session, even when the tool or concept may not be relevant to the staff member's current practice or project. This essentially forces staff members to complete a project that is largely decided by the KPO team rather than something being decided by themselves. So even though staff are given a choice as to what they want to apply the concepts on, sometimes it's a false choice because the concepts may not be applicable or relevant to that staff member's current work. So in the end, this removes some of the autonomy from the staff on the course. Also, when staff attempt to apply a concept that does not fit their current projects, it may lead them to feel less competent when they are unable to apply it properly. So the idea for change was to greatly simplify the assessments by creating just 3 summative and 2 formative assessments rather than the previous 26 summative ones. We also decided to greatly change the teaching structure and the course structure based on staff feedback. And this now means that the course can actually be completed in 6 months rather than 9 months. And we also now teach about creating a culture of continuous improvement and world-class management first as well. And all of that was based on lots of staff feedback that we got. So what are the assessments? So the first assessment that we decided to do and change was the one around the daily management assessment. So just for quickly clarify for those who don't know what the words formative or summative mean, formative assessments are like handing in a draft or a plan so that you can get feedback. But these aren't marked. So this is just kind of helps you to ensure you're on the right tracks. And then summative assessments, that's the assignment that you actually hand in for marking and feedback at the end. So the formative assessment that we decided to put in will involve the staff member completing a short implementation plan of how they will apply just one daily management technique. And then the staff will be paired up into peer-to-peer groups, and they will hand the implementation plan to one of their peers as well as to the KPO team. And this will give each member a chance to gain feedback from the KPO team and one of their peers on tips to help them implement their technique. The summative assessment will consist of something known as a Gemba walk, and also completing a short self-reflection portfolio on leadership management in the organization, striving for continuous improvement and learning. And the Gemba walk is where the KPO specialist will go to where the staff work area is, and the staff will be able to present how they've applied their technique to the KPO specialist. And these Gemba walks are really flexible and completely down to the staff member. So they can do it as a presentation, they can do it as a meeting, they can do it as a workshop, an engagement event. It gives them the autonomy to do it how they want to do it. And the second section of the assessment will be focusing on the staff members selecting a project of their own choosing and then selecting the tools and concepts that best fits that specific project. So in the end, they only use the tools and concepts that they think will help them deliver on their specific project. The formative assessment will consist of the staff member completing a project scope and proposal, detailing the focus of their project and improvement idea and evaluation process. And again, they'll be paired into peers. And they will share their project proposal with their peer and the KPO team, again given an opportunity for peer-to-peer support and support from the KPO team. And the summative assessment will involve staff members completing a 15-minute presentation, just like the one which me and Claire are doing now, on their project, followed by a quick 5-minute Q&A. And this will be done in groups of 3, so they'll be completing it to small groups of their peers, and again we'll get that chance to get peer-to-peer support and support from us as well. Currently, the marking for the assessment is based on a rubric that grades staff as excellent, good, satisfactory, and requires improvement. And though this is the case for each assessment, the overall program isn't graded. It's either you pass or you fail. So the new marking rubric is going to be just met or not met for each individual assessment. And this will hopefully increase staff competency by allowing them to focus on the feedback given rather than trying to get to the next grade. And also with the feedback, currently, there are little to no opportunities for staff to apply the feedback that is given to them due to the length of time between handing in their assignments and receiving the feedback. So this does not promote staff competency as they do not have the chance to improve. So staff will now hand in the formative assessments to the KPO team and then receive feedback on their project scope and proposal and their implementation plan, and then this will give them an opportunity to implement the changes based on the feedback that they get. They will also hand in their formative assessments to their peers to again allow that peer-to-peer feedback. With the new assessment structure as well, there won't actually be a lag between when they hand in their assessments and when they get the feedback. They'll get the feedback instantaneously, therefore removing that long period of time from handing in until they know if they've passed or before they receive feedback on how to improve for the future. So with these changes, there will be many benefits to motivation and also staff on our course. So by allowing staff to make meaningful choices around what concepts they apply and how they apply it, it boosts a feeling of autonomy. Staff also have the ability to scope projects that provide an optimal challenge, and this allows them to feel more competent when completing their assessments. By completing formative assessments and receiving feedback before they complete their summative assessments, it gives staff the opportunity to improve their work and boost their feeling of competence. By removing the grading system for the assessment, the feedback can be focused on the staff and how they can improve, and this feedback can then be more personalized to each staff member and help them apply it to again boost competency. By connecting staff together for their peer-to-peer formative feedbacks, we can provide an environment and an opportunity to boost relatedness between staff members. We can also, with this new structure, we hope that staff do not feel overburdened with the amount of assessments they've got to complete. We're hoping that the assessments also better reflect continuous improvement in a professional setting. The feedback practice will allow staff to engage with the feedback rather than it just being a one-way direction. And we're also hoping for lower attrition as well. So we've applied some of these techniques to other courses as well and have seen amazing improvements so far. So we have our preceptorship course that myself and a few others spoke about a couple of weeks ago. And we've had over 175 responses to the survey questions on that course, and over 85% of the respondents so far have ranked the engagement and content of the course as 8 or above. So it definitely shows us that we're on the right track with some of these changes that we're making. So we believe that these changes will lead to more successes going forward, and hope that some of the practices we are using can be adopted by others doing other teaching courses in the organisation to hopefully again boost that motivation of our staff. And if you have any questions about the courses we run, please feel free to email us, myself or the team, at the email address you can see on the screen. And the new course starts at the end of September, and there are about 5 spaces left in the first 25 space cohort. So please sign up on BEST if you'd like to join. Thank you very much.